I just created a new app called Play with Schema. So I go to Play with Schema here, git add, git commit, first commit. I'm gonna generate a normally just like normal. I have a controller and some basic model to work with. I'm gonna pick one of your app to design the schema for. Which one should we use?
Mine.
Yours. Okay. Too late. Yeah. So Rails generate. Yeah. So Rails generate model. I'm gonna call it form. Okay. So in a form you have question stuff. So
we're recording this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying it, right?
Okay. So I'll call it survey because the word form in Rails may be a little different. It's okay. You can call it form. Yeah. I call it maybe survey here. Do we all understand the word survey? So, for example, if I have a word survey, so maybe I have a title. What else is in that? Maybe this is the user ID. I don't have users yet, so I just ignore that. Anything else in the survey? Maybe like published at. So, yeah. The survey will have many questions.
What's the have many types?
Yes, I'm doing surveys, sir. I'm just kidding. Yeah, of course we'll get there. So, I have a survey model. I just need to create one model here. Schema. I'm just playing with schema, right? So, migration. I accidentally put this publish ad as string, so I change that to datetime. Okay. Rails generate db migrate db migrate. Now I'm going to add one gem. So this walkthrough is just a simple exercise, adding a gem. Only do it for development. So the gem is called ERD GitHub. I think that's the guy's name. So I don't know. Let me check to be really sure. Amatsuda. Okay, this is the guy. Last time we used this gem, right? Alright, so we'll just play with a different gem that actually uses that gem in the backend. So this is the gem that we're using. They haven't released the latest version, so that's why I prefer to use the GitHub. It includes the fix to some of the stuff in Rails 5. So, bundle. And if you visit the gem page here, you see that you can visit the URL here. It lets you draw the diagrams, the entity relationship diagrams. You can drag and drop. You can create all these models on the fly. On the fly means just in real time. So let's see if I can get it to do what they promised. Go to this URL. And then here, unfortunately, that's interesting. It still failed. The what's the gem name? It's couldn't find jQuery. You will get this a lot in a lot of gems that provide you an engine to run your app, because they assume that Rails come with jQuery installed, but Rails 5.1 doesn't come with jQuery installed. So you could just fix this easily by putting jQuery Rails here and run bundle install. Okay, so now I do Rails server, and it will look like this. Cool. Now I can actually draw a few things here. If you realize that something is missing, you can add a column here. Let's think about his. I just accidentally removed the table. Whoops, nope. So I have a survey model. That's not enough. When I build a survey, I need a few questions. Okay, so a survey has many questions. So what do we do with that? A model name is question. A question, maybe a question title. Anything else besides question title? Huh? All right, answers. Should answers be in here? No? where maybe you have the description or the hint or the body if you want to display more text. So maybe this is optional, but maybe you have a description text.
Well, type.
Exactly, that's good. So Rails type is a special column name, so it's better if you just name it different from the word type. Okay, so question type. And so if you're displaying a question, what else you care about? Yeah, that you may be, you get what I'm saying with the hint or description, right? Right? For now, I just keep it really simple like that. So if you click on that, you see nothing, but if you click here, check this out, right? It has a create model action here is pending. If you hit the save changes, it creates a migration file for you. And then you just have to run migration file, run migration yourself. That's why it's crashing, but not a problem. Rails db migrate. So this is quite dynamic. If you refresh, you now have the question, but you want the relationship. So go to question here, and you're like, oh crap, I actually forgot to do belongs to server. Okay, right? And I go to survey. Now survey will has many questions. What's their, what's dependent destroy? Now I already migrated. So what should I do? You have two options. Rails DB, Rails generate migration, add survey ID column to questions, and then survey ID. That's one way, yeah? Integer. That is one way. Well, because I want to keep things simple, I could do this, Rails DB rollback. So I just undo the migration. And I go to the create questions migration here and I change it. T dot, you could do T dot integer or T dot begin that now new Rails uses, survey ID. Okay? Now you can also do this way, it's a little bit fancier. T dot belongs to or T dot references. Alright, Rails DB migrate. When you do T dot belongs to, the schema file will include this extra line. It indexes the column, so it's a little nicer. It will make things faster. That's the right thing to do. You should have an index column, so when you find questions by certain survey ID, it's fast. Okay? Now I am going to refresh this and notice what happens. You have an arrow right here. So you can kind of see the relationship. This guy has the foreign key pointing to this guy. Do you guys see that? And let's do a little exercise here thinking, okay, I need another model. What model do I need? Alright, answer. So I'm going to use the word choice because maybe an answer is when the user selecting a choice is selecting the choice. So here you can say maybe choice is just a choice body. Is that about it? We keep forgetting one thing. Yeah? Question belongs to, a choice belongs to a question. So this will be, I think you can say that belongs to type here. What else? Body is text. Is that it? So when you do that, there's a now migration here. You can save changes. Run migration again. And update the choice model. Belongs to question that's fill out for you. That's nice. And survey here. But when you go to question has many what? And so I refresh this and I kind of see, oh, it's nice. I can see the relationship going. Okay? So that is pretty neat. Visualizing at the same time, you can actually make changes. You can see the migration here. If you're really lazy, you can run the migration up, down, play with it. Create a playground. This is where you can just play with the model and have a better understanding of the model. Yeah. So for example, if I want to add one more thing here, I call it maybe a body or description, or maybe question hint. I don't know. So string or text, add. It's like that, right? So then I save. You see, there's a new migration over here. Save changes. Oh wow! Did that run the changes directly? It created this app description to question. Let's look at that migration file that I just created. That's pretty cool. We created that. So I need to run Rails DB migrate. I think it's already ran. Yeah, it's already ran. So you have no controller, nothing else, but you have all these models to play with. It doesn't have to be in your real app, okay? It's just to play with. But look, very quickly here, I can create a survey. Now let's seed some data, okay? Seed. Let's seed some data. I have my survey here, will be survey.create. Create what? I'm gonna cheat and give you guys the, you guys can see this. Please give me some content, guys. Come on. I create a survey, right? Okay, here will be Ruby on Rails job post. Okay, a junior position. Okay, is that okay? Junior developer. Apply application. That's such a long title. And then let's create the first question. What's the first question? Like, question is title. Huh? All right. How many years of experience? And then create that. Is that it? In the title, that's pretty much it, right? Question. All right. So that is my question. What is my answer? The choices. This will be just a question type. Is it a text type or is it a multiple choice? 1 to 5 years. Which one do you want to do? All right, let's do multiple choice. So here you can say, you have to really decide. In this case, I can say multiple choice. So what are the choices we have? Okay, so no, good. So now what is the question type? Now I have to define question type. I don't want to just have a random type, okay? So Rails provides something called enum. And now you can say question type is one of these type. Multiple choice, maybe a text. If you stuck with this one, just go to Google Form one more time and actually we could use the same naming so it's not too confusing. How do I go back to that form? Let me, without flashing it on here. Give me a second there. Alright, so when you, multiple choice is when you have all this radio button, you have checkboxes, drop down, short answer, paragraph. So let's say Oscar was saying, let's make things really simple. So you can have short answer. That's it, checkboxes. Let's say I support these 3 choices. Okay? Now they are quite, the checkboxes will be quite difficult to support when you store user in multiple choice.
Files, like if I ask them to upload.
Yeah, you can support that as well. That would be interesting as well. So I'm going to show you guys this is not something you have to do. Well, Oscar volunteered it, so he is going to benefit a bit. But you guys can just enjoy that, hey, this is how you build a more complicated app. So I have the question type. The only problem with Rails is that a question, not that one, API.Ruby on Rails. You can search for the enum type here. And you can understand, this is quite important for a lot of you guys. We did not teach this enum type yet. It's going to store the value to the status column, okay? And the convention Rails uses, if you don't like this, it's okay. There are other libraries that do it differently. This way, this guy is saying that if you have the value active, it's going to store in the database with the value 0. If you choose the value archive, it will store in the database its value 1. There are some other gem that will store the string instead. Okay, Rails, but I'm just going to teach the Rails way, and usually it's good enough, and with some native support, so it's nice. So it means that the value, this status column has to be a string. Now I have to change my question type. Okay, so I'm going to change. This time I'll show you a different technique. Rails generate, change question type in what? You can type this too, yeah? Question type in questions. It can be really anything there. And I'm going to create a migration. So this is a migration. I'm going to guess and see if this works. Huh? So write question type here. And let's go to the migration file. We have to manually edit it. Okay, so there's really nothing in here. So I have to say change column. In the table questions, question type is the name of the column. The previous type was string. The new type should be integer. Is that okay? So now I will run Rails db migrate. Uh-oh. I may have forgotten. Oh, I guess I don't have to say. Oh, that's weird. Okay, let's go and check the documentation. Change column. Okay, so what does it look like here? You put the table name and just add the new type, I guess. Change to the new option. Okay, fine. So it's gonna be just integer. Okay. And I'm gonna run Rails db migrate. Using integer, what's going on to the, oh, unfortunately Postgres is being really difficult. So this Postgres is actually protecting your column from being changed. So this is Postgres being really strict. So I don't like this option. I'm gonna delete. When you run into this kind of problem, you're like, what's an easier way for me to fix this? Delete the migration, go back to question, changes to integer, okay? And now you have to do the whole thing again. Rails db drop, db create, db migrate, okay? Not a big deal. That's an easier way to fix. And when you do this, it's being accessed. It means I have to cancel the Rails server that I'm running. So you go and find that Rails server, cancel it. Okay, run it again. Are you still following? So now if I run Rails server from here, just double check real quick. We still have this model, but the question type will be the integer type. Okay.
Can you explain quickly again what was the problem with it not being integer type?
Your question is why is it an integer, not a string, right?
Yeah, why do we have to do it?
So I'm introducing. This is one way to do things. We're using enum. And enum here will help you have all this validation. If you set your question type to be anything else, it will be an error.
Okay. So
And it gives you a few convenient methods you're going to learn very soon. So the way Rails decide, and it's one of the database techniques, it's okay, that you actually store integer instead. Well, in the old days, then you can change the string to something, a long string, but you don't really have to use too much storage. If you have a million records, using an integer just saves you space. Nowadays, we don't really care about that. Yeah? There are some dangers with using integer like this. I'm not going to dive into it. You should be fine in your project. Okay, so question type. What will the value be if I set the question type to be multiple choice? What's the question type integer value? Thank you. What is it? Alright, I'm going to show you right now. Okay, let's create a question. And question.new question type is, let's say, multiple choice. Okay, so this question, if I try to save, obviously there's an error. I'm going to try to save anyway. So if you really want to try to save, you can say don't validate me. Save it anyway. But now look, read this. Insert into questions, the questions table. Question type value is 0. Do you guys see that? So if I set question type to be the second one, what is it? Short answer. And I save, again, validate is false. Okay? Then it will set it to be 1 right here. Let's say I set it to be a really wrong value. Then it will say not a valid question type. That's very nice. It helps protect your code. Keep it safe. It's also cool that if you have this as question type here, sometimes you want to ask, what are the available question types I have? Easy. You type the word question here. Question types. It gives you, multiple choice is 0, short answer is 1, checkboxes is 2. Okay, so that's just some extra techniques. Here you can comment like, you can get all question types by calling question types. Okay, now let's get back to seeding. I'm creating a survey right here. So, where is it? See. Okay, let's see. How many years of experience? So choices, I forgot now. Choice, what column do we have in choice? Body. All right. So it will be choices.body, not create. Body is 1 to 5 years of. That doesn't make sense, huh? Junior developer. Can we ask a simpler question, guys? All right. Thank you for supporting me. So, red, blue, green. Hey, if you're a web developer, you need to know your red, blue, green. So, transparent. Okay? So imagine this, I can seed the data, no? Let's see if I can seed it. Is that enough for one question? So let's add another question. In here, I have another question. I call it, what's your email? Okay, so this is short answer. And I don't even need any choices, no? Okay. Technically, maybe you can have one choice that, let's say if it's one choice, then you can allow user to have one answer. You can have 2 choices to have another answer. Oscar, building the survey app is going to be so much fun because of all these test cases, the edge cases, and it's a lot to learn. It's cool stuff. So for now, I'm just going to create no answer like that. I have 2 questions. One is multiple choice. The other one is that, right? So you have to actually go ahead and, this is your schema. But you have to go ahead and start building. Let's say your home page, you actually can learn how to build a survey with multiple question, multiple form. I'm not going to show it here. You can read into, because it's lunchtime, and also this is not interesting enough for some other people. Read into Rails nested form. So what's that? Accept nested attributes for. Let's see if I can just explain this very quickly. If you define accept nested attribute for, you can set something, you can create a form. Okay, I only mentioned this so you guys can know what to look up when you need it, okay? In this case, you have a person who has an address. An address is another model, right? I don't like one-to-one. This find a different case. Projects maybe? Okay, accept nested. And you can build, let's say this is your survey, and then you can do fields for questions. And with the accept nest, so this is like your survey, but if you do accept nested attributes for questions, then you can build a form that people can create. It's going to create a survey, and it will create all the questions. You just say question title here, question type inside. So that is how you do the form. Now, how do you render what I just did? Maybe this will be fun. It's very fast. Routes, go to home index, right? Let's display this guy, right? Home controller. This is your survey, which will be survey.first. Let's go and implement this guy. Okay, so here will be your survey title, right? And here you will display survey.questions.each do. And now you're going to separate that to a partial later on, right? Okay, it's a little tricky. Normally you would do render question. So when you do that, what happens? It goes to, it requires you to create this questions, and then inside questions you have the question partial, right? In this case, you actually not gonna have question. You actually have a multiple choice partial. You have a multiple choice question, really, a short answer question. It's up to you, but I'm gonna just do that right now. In the multiple choice, I have a question, so I'm gonna display it as question dot, is it a question title? And then here will be question dot choices. Choice, multiple choice, so we have the radio button, right? Input, type radio, and then the label will be here. Just keep the label like this. So this is the choice, and this is the choice.body. So that is multiple choice. Short answer will just be question.title. And here's the form. So in here you actually have a text field, right? For now, I'm just going to use the HTML input text field, right? That's it. So in your index, instead of rendering question, you actually rendering a partial called question type with the variable question. Okay, so that seems like a lot. We've just gone through a lot. So just very quickly go here. Now I need to go to questions folder view / question type. Then it will find here is a question type. Why is it crashing? No problem. This multiple choice multiple choice, right? Did I type it incorrectly? It say this file is not found. Multiple choice. Did I name it incorrectly? Do you guys see this? Looks good, right? Did I multiple choice? It is save. Let's questions / multiple choice.
Yeah, that's good.
They're all good. Questions.
Like it's home / questions.
Where?
I think in the files. In your, I think the here.
Oh yeah, baby. Alright, so I move it out here and run this. It's almost there. I have an error in my multiple choice. Oh, I forgot to close this. You guys ready for the magic? Alright, almost, except it's still ugly as hell. Home index. Each of these should be in a question. Right? Oh, it's too hard to type. Question. Okay, so now you can start styling, but you already have 2 questions like this, right? It starts to look quite nice. If you want maybe something like, with index here, this is the index, and this is, margin bottom is 1 pixel, no, 10 pixel, border 1 pixel solid gray, padding 20 pixel. I think that will look pretty good, and maybe behind this question I'm going to pass in the index value as well, index, because I passed that into index, and in here I can display question title. Maybe this is an H1 question title, or maybe this is H2, yeah, and this is index, and I copy the same code to the other file. If you want, you can turn this into a.
You have H1, H2 now.
Thank you. You can turn this into a question title partial if you like, but these partial are just using that and refresh. Okay, the border is a little ugly, but it's getting there. Except my index is a little stupid. Maybe now I need to do +1 over here, right? And if you want now, you have to do basically that is form 4 survey to put it inside a form for real now. And for those who are curious, actually this is not a survey form. This is when the user answer. This is displaying the survey. Alright? So the question is, when the user click this, what do? You store a user ID and a choice ID. So that's the final step I wanted to talk to you guys, which is I need a model here. We need a user. Let's say we have a user ID, email.
Maybe that's the applicant, because user would be the one who creates.
Okay. If you want them to be separate, yeah. So here will be participant, okay, or applicant. Now here's the key thing about the relationship. I have that model. I'm gonna just migrate that. This guy is just asking me to RailsDB migrate here. I have the participant. Now I need to store answer. Uh-oh. What's going on? Did I run that too early? Yeah, I ran that too early. And one more. Did I run into the same error that you had before? Schema. Do I have the create applicant here? Why is it not running this? Oh, that's scary. It's not running my migration. Oh, because I have some change. You can't create this ID column. That's my bad. ID is just generated by Rails. Cool. So I have an applicant, and I need to store what the applicant said on the survey. Why is it so slow? Here, you see there's a choice here, right? And what's interesting is actually you have a user that created the survey, right? And then you have the applicant that actually took the answer here. So you need to create a model. It's called the answer model. For example, maybe you want to call it choice answer to make it really clear. What do you put in here? Participant ID. No, applicant ID. Okay. So I'm just going to call applicant belong to.
So this is kind of like our line item.
Choice, yes, belongs to. Do you want to remember what the user do with what question user answered to? So pay attention to this one carefully, yeah? Do you need to store the question the user answered?
No, because choice already has it.
Yeah, so if you say yes or no, both are correct. If you don't, then you have to always go through a choice. If you store the question, then it's also nice. Sometimes you can skip choices depending on the design, but it also allows you to load the records faster. If you say, what are the questions my user just answered to? Okay, so I'm going to keep both here just to give an idea. Now, very nice, I have this, I can save changes. One more time, run Rails DB migrate. Okay. Alright, so you can start to see, it's this guy. Now, you don't have anything here, but that's good enough. You may have some extra value here, I don't know, besides created at, updated at. Okay, so maybe the user IP address, I don't know. This is not enough, by the way, because how do you know if this application, this applicant is taking, how many surveys this applicant took? Each time the applicant actually start to take your survey, you probably want to track that. So are you actually missing some more important? So you're actually calling, let's say you can call this a response. I'm going to call it survey response. It belongs to a survey. It also belongs to an applicant. You see how this is getting a little out of control? And run that.
Wait, why do we do this? I don't fully understand.
Sure, I'll show you real quick. So if you want to store the time the participant start the survey, complete the survey, or store the IP address the user is at, or if the user agree any service, any agreement, or the percentage, how many, the user, what step the user is at. This is the when the user start taking your survey, this is something you have to create a survey response. Okay, so I add one more column here. Let's say IP address. For example, you want to track the user IP address. Maybe because each time the applicant takes the survey, he may be at a different IP address. That's why you don't put the IP address in this place. You don't put email here because each time the applicant, if you assume that the applicant always have one email, then you store it over here. What else that maybe time, it has created at and updated at time already? That's really useful. You can measure with survey response here. You can measure the time the user took to complete the entire survey by taking the, updated at maybe is not good. So maybe I should have a completed at because you may update it for a different reason. So the time the user took to complete the survey is completed at minus created at. So you can see why you have this now. Then in this now it's actually quite interesting because each time the user do the choice answer here, what you need is pointing to there is a survey response. You actually have to track it. So now you can get when you have a user, an applicant, and a survey, then you can find the survey record, and inside you can load all the answer to that survey. So yeah, so these are, I think if I save changes here, that's pretty cool. Now I have, and
Is
that's
Rails smart enough with dates that I can do one week minus another one?
yes, absolutely. So choice here, but survey response. This one belongs to survey, belongs to, that's good. Choice answer, you may call it choice response, and this it also belongs to survey. All right, response. Okay, so when you belong to survey response, here's the kicker. This guy, applicant, is not needed. So it's not needed anymore because it's always go through there. And choice and question, that's the debatable one. What you really care about is this guy and this guy, right? Question is like technically you can figure out question ID through choice. But what if you have a question without choices? So maybe you want to set this every time. Now this becomes a schema design kind of discussion. I save it here, and you guys see that. What is this internal metadata thing? No longer do you see there's no more arrow from here to here?
Yeah.
But if you check this out. A user can have, not user, an applicant can have many survey responses. Dependent, destroy. What if you want to see the list of surveys the user have taken? The user has taken, then the user can have many surveys through survey responses. Whoa. Because why? As each survey response actually has more. It's a bit weird, huh? So survey response, right, can link to the applicant. Link between the applicant and survey. So you can say applicant has many survey, and you can also say a survey. How many applicants have I got? Does that make sense? But you see, no, but this is through, okay? Through survey responses. And a survey will have many survey responses. And now is when the arrows start to go crazy. Right? So where? A survey here, I think it doesn't have it. Can point to many applicants. This Rails diagram doesn't do it justice. It's not as cool, but the design thing is cool. I'm gonna use the other gem. Remember that gem? This one? You don't need require, I think, require false. So I put it in there. I'm gonna run bundle. And Rails, what's that bundle exact? Yadi. I'm going to open that ERD PDF file. Crap. No! What's going on? Someone help! What's going on? Do I have to generate something? Here's the final output. I want something complicated like this, no? Rails ERD, and I actually want these extra things, but it's okay. Rails DB migrate. Maybe I need to migrate. We're so unlucky. There's Grails DB migrated here. And then we run that bundle exact. How many? Okay, is ignoring. Okay, it's just ignoring stuff. That's not cool. Yep, beautiful. We only have one model. I'm so sad now. ERD. There's an ERD config file, I think. Okay, I'm gonna try to tell it to go a more complicated foreign key content inheritance polymorphism here too. Rotation. Bachman. Polymorphic, true. Horizontal, that's fine. Okay, let's see if we can get this going. By the way, the gem support an automatic reg task if you'd like to use it. Auto-generate every time you migrate. There's a reg task. Would you like to keep that one? Okay, finger crossed. Oh, still not working. I wonder if this thing is conflicting with the other gem. Ignoring invalid association. That's not invalid, huh? Model server response exists but not included in the domain. What does that mean? Why is this model incomplete?
Probably just read the error message. Come on.
That's right.
Tell you exactly what it's supposed to do. Maybe I get this.
Man, that is sad. So I don't have a cool diagram file to show you guys. It will be like a lot of lines. I was going to use the. Right now, there's a bug that's right. It's always. Oh, this is sad. It is so complicated. So this other guy is smarter, right? But it's not pointing that has many through that I really like. But that's the idea, right? You go through this planning phase, so you know how much work it is then in terms of the back end. Take a screenshot, update the Trello, and so today continue to work on not this work on the card. Okay, so the one last thing, I'm so sorry to keep you here, is that just update more screenshot. I love it. Right, see the screenshot there. I think I have. Oh, I didn't have it. But I'm moving. Please move when you're done with us. When you're working on wireframing and design schema, move your app over here. So for example, right, it's here. And then when you start coding, you move your card over here. You get more move. Yep, to the right. Are we okay with that? You're working on wireframes. So update the screenshot. So Oscar, you attach your wireframes here. So it's just representative, like one to show that it's done. Then you move, so we know who's working on coding right now. I'm working on coding. You may still work on schema and design. I'm going to update my schema as well. Okay, any question about final project? Yes? Yeah, that's a good question. So
As the user and all the user on our group, we have a function. We need to have something that we can to update
Yeah, exactly. We need something related. So this is my basic schema. I haven't included user and stuff. I'm going to use this image and I'm going to copy that and paste it into Trello. So I'm going to do that right now. But okay, to explain that one, I'm afraid we're out of time for maybe after lunch. Then I'll explain. This question is related to this one. Okay, here's your, you can move this down here and take a look, yeah? If you have someone, I wish they show the foreign key, it's always useful, right? An applicant takes a survey, then you need a survey response record. Each time, there may be many surveys. Each time the applicant takes a survey, you create a new survey response. So the survey response need to know what applicant he is and what survey he is. So that's why you have applicant ID in the survey response and survey ID in survey response. Does that make sense? Then that's why you see the arrow. When you see arrow pointing something like this, it means that this survey is linked to this survey response. Survey response has a survey ID.
Can you skip that survey response and make a refuge survey?
Yes, fantastic question, but the answer is no. Good, very good question. Quiz question is, why can't we have an array here that point to the applicant? That is a really good question. So, because if you want to do that, then you're going to have this. Am I right? Then a survey will have many questions. No, many applicants. But an applicant can only take one survey. You see the survey ID there? So after you take the survey, that's it. If you take the next survey, then I have to rewrite this value, I overwrite. But you can only have one survey. Does that make sense? In the same way, you cannot put the participant ID over here, because then you can then an applicant can take many surveys. Each time you take it, just write down the applicant ID in the survey, right? But that's not good, because then a survey can only have one applicant. So that's why those two things over there are not good. And we have to move survey ID and applicant ID into something in the middle there. So this is the has many through. If you read online, you may see something like has and belong to many. Has and belong to many. Technically right now, a survey belongs to applicant through this guy, but a survey also has many applicant through this survey response. That's why it's the relationship is called has and belong to relationship. And Rails support that as well, but I don't teach it because you don't need it. If you do it, then this one will not, the survey response will not be a model, and it's even more confusing. And in general, you should not use it because you can't add extra column. It's just a little bit of magic. I would like you to understand the relationship here this way. It's better. Yeah? So when you look at survey and when you look at participant, no, oh my god, I really hate that that word, huh? Participant and applicant. Yeah, you see the, oh, am I missing something? That's survey response. This is survey, all right, and applicant, three guys there, okay? Understanding this kind of relationship is extremely important. Cool. Sorry for keeping you at lunch. Let's start at 2 p.m. so you can have a long time rest.